Welcome back to Aviation India. Today we dive into a very important topic. 5 reasons to avoid the Robinson R22. At first glance, the R22 looks like the perfect entry-level helicopter. It's small, simple, widely used for training, and one of the most recognizable helicopters in the world. But once you take a closer look, many flaws and hidden challenges become clear. And for many pilots, these issues can turn the Robinson R22 from a dream-first helicopter into a regretful choice. So, let's break down the 5 biggest reasons why this helicopter might not be the smart pick for you. Limited performance. The Robinson R22 struggles when it comes to raw performance. With only about 131 horsepower and very low weight capacity, it was never designed to carry much more than a pilot and a student. If you plan to fly with heavier passengers, extra baggage, or in high-altitude environments, you'll quickly notice its limits. The R22's performance drops significantly in hot weather and thin air, which can be dangerous in mountainous terrain. Pilots often complain about the lack of power reserve, leaving very little margin for error in emergency situations. Unlike larger helicopters that can handle more stress, the R22 demands absolute precision to keep things safe. This makes it an unforgiving machine, especially for new pilots. On top of that, even small changes in weight, like extra fuel or a heavier passenger, can dramatically affect its climb rate. For missions that require confidence in performance, the R22 is simply not reliable. Safety concerns. One of the biggest criticisms of the R22 is its safety record. The aircraft is notorious for a higher accident rate compared to many other helicopters in its class. This is partly due to its lightweight design, which makes it more sensitive to turbulence and pilot mistakes. The R22's low inertia rotor system also doesn't give pilots much time to react during an engine failure. In other helicopters, auto-rotation gives you more seconds to stabilize and prepare. But in the R22, the window for action is much shorter, and this has contributed to fatal accidents worldwide. Insurance companies know this too, and that's why premiums for the R22 can often be higher, despite its small size and relatively low cost. Many pilots who train on the R22 mention how strict the FAA and training schools are with safety procedures, precisely because of how quickly things can go wrong. In short, the R22 demands flawless attention, and that makes it unsuitable for less experienced or casual private pilots. Comfort and space. Flying in the Robinson R22 feels cramped, and that's putting it lightly. The cabin is extremely tight, with very little legroom or shoulder space. For taller pilots or passengers, it can feel like squeezing into a box. The seats are basic and not very comfortable for long flights, which makes training sessions or longer trips exhausting. Noise levels inside are also high, so headsets are mandatory. When compared to helicopters like the Robinson R44 or even older Bell models, the R22 feels more like a training toy than a serious personal aircraft. For anyone who values a pleasant flying experience, this helicopter disappoints. Even a short 1-hour flight can feel tiring and uncomfortable, which makes it a poor choice for regular use. Add in the limited visibility from certain angles, and the cockpit feels even less practical than competitors. Comfort simply wasn't a design priority for the R22, and it shows. To make matters worse, vibration levels inside are noticeable, which adds fatigue over time. Pilots often describe long flights as survival sessions rather than enjoyable trips. If you want a helicopter you can truly relax in, this isn't it. Limited useful load. Even though the R22 is affordable to buy, its practical use is very limited because of its low payload capacity. You can't really carry much more than 2 people with minimal fuel. If you try to load it up, performance and safety are compromised. This makes it almost useless for missions like aerial photography, light cargo transport, or even fun weekend trips with a passenger and bags. You'll constantly be calculating weight and balance just to make sure the helicopter can safely take off. Many pilots quickly realize that after a few flights, the R22 doesn't really fit their needs outside of training purposes. And that's why so many move on to larger models like the R44 almost immediately. Even basic recreational flying becomes stressful when every kilogram of weight matters. Instead of enjoying the flight, owners often find themselves worrying about limitations, and that takes away from the joy of flying. On hot summer days or at higher altitudes, the payload issue becomes even worse, reducing usable load dramatically. Some pilots even compare flying the R22 with carrying just enough fuel and nothing else. This constant restriction makes it a poor companion for real-world versatility. Training helicopter, not a long-term solution. Finally, the Robinson R22 was designed as a trainer, not as a long-term personal aircraft. It's fantastic for logging flight hours at a lower cost, but once you're licensed and ready for real missions, it becomes very restrictive. Maintenance requirements are strict, and major overhauls come fast and expensive for a small helicopter. The result is that most owners either outgrow it quickly or end up spending more money than expected to keep it airworthy. That's why many aviation schools and pilots use the R22 only as a stepping stone, before moving on to more capable helicopters like the R44, Bell 206, or Airbus H125. In short, the R22 does its job as a trainer, but beyond that, it fails to deliver value for a private owner. And when you look at the bigger picture, it makes little sense to invest in a helicopter you'll probably want to replace within a short time. Long-term ownership costs don't match the limited capabilities it offers. Even selling the R22 after training often leads to depreciation losses, leaving owners frustrated. In essence, it's a short-lived investment with very little payoff for the private buyer. So, there you have it. 5 reasons to avoid the Robinson R22. While it's one of the most common helicopters in the world, its limitations in performance, safety, comfort, payload, and long-term value make it a questionable choice for anyone beyond beginner training. If you're serious about flying and want an aircraft that grows with you, the R22 may end up being more of a burden than a benefit. Always consider the mission you want to accomplish before investing in this helicopter. And remember, sometimes saving money up front can cost you a lot more in the long run.